Hey everyone, welcome to Morethanmeetstheseguys. This podcast is a journey through Transformers from the beginning of the animated series of two old friends coming at it from different perspectives. Together, we will go episode by episode with the occasional extra to look at how the show holds up, or if it's a trap of nostalgia. We'll be looking at all things involved in the episode, whether there are real-world factors that crept into the writing, or if the episode is typical afternoon cartoon fodder. I'm Evan, a lifelong fan who's familiar with all aspects of it, while Ed is familiar with Transformers, but really nothing he really got into when he's younger. So thanks for being here, everyone. And how you doing, Ed?
I'm fantastic. So earlier you messaged me about a book, a very special book.
Yeah, it's special, right? So
very special book.
Yeah.
Asking me if I'd ever heard of it. If I've ever heard of the 1986 Tour de Force,
Turmoil.
Phil Phillips.
Yes.
Turmoil in the Toy Box.
Phil Phillips. So that you have a double name, you know, it's got to be good, right? So
yeah, you had never heard of this, and you messaged me.
I really hadn't.
And you know, I was like, my response was, yes, I have. In fact, I own a copy of this book. I found it at a thrift store once, and I thought it was. I remember hearing about this when I was a kid, and I was very scared of this. And I saw it at a thrift store once for $1 and could not pass it up. I was like, I really want to own this. So yeah, I picked it up. If you're not familiar with Turmoil in the Toy Box, tell us what your experience with Turmoil in the Toy Box.
Well, I'll tell you, I heard another podcast talking about it this week, so I decided I need to find a copy of this. I couldn't get a copy by the time we record this, so I found some PDFs, some pages online. So I was like, I'll if I don't have to pay this guy money, which if I'm going to find it used, so I don't pay him money, I'd rather pay a bookstore money, you know. And I was like, well, I can download like a PDF. I can buy a PDF. I'm not buying a PDF off of Amazon. I am going to buy a physical copy so to read it just to spite this guy. So Phil Phillips was a pastor in the 80s. And apparently, as the story goes, he has such allegorical nonsense, like stepping in sewage when he was running with his dog and his parents cleaning him off for 3 hours, because those pitfalls are like how the occult and how Satan gets into your life and you don't even realize. Some nonsensical allegorical tripe, honestly.
The fumes of the sewage are like modern media from is kind of I think is what he was trying to say there.
Yeah. He was about as verbose as a 1980s choose your own adventure novel, and the fact that it was written really badly, and I'm pretty sure someone even ghostwrote this for him. Like, he dictated something. He got his like a 10th grade literature student to write this for him, but that's neither here nor there. So apparently the whole thing is he was getting ready to give a bunch of sermons at his church, and I don't know what kind of church it is, not really important. Some probably Southern Baptist style, newer Protestant thing, doesn't matter. But so he went to, I guess, a flower shop or something. Then he goes into a toy store for some weird reason. It's like, I don't know what drew me into the toy store, but I decided to go in there, and I started looking at the toys, and I was surprised to see the He-Man and Masters of the Universe figure Skeletor, which, by the way, everyone, is supposed to be a lich. I don't know if you know this. Skeletor is supposed to be an evil lich. So
that dude hates Masters of the Universe.
Dude, I
have never seen anyone have a crusade against something like that guy has against Masters of the Universe. It is like, it is just like insane. But the rhetoric that guy spits out, though, is, when I was reading this, that's familiar to me because as I may or may not have said in the past, I grew up in a very small town in North Carolina. I lived on a farm. My grandfather was a preacher, a Baptist preacher, for a very, very long time, or pastor, or I don't know. I'm not really going to get into my personal religion on this, but it doesn't really fall in line with that. That said, though, when I first got my He-Man figures, and I would go stay with my grandparents on the weekends. All my dad worked like overtime. I had like Council of Grayskull, and I had He-Man, Skeletor, and I had a few other guys, and I was playing with them, and my grandfather was like, "Oh, what are those guys?" And I was like, "Oh, they're Masters of the Universe. And whoa, there's only
Oh, buddy.
one Master of the Universe. His
Yeah.
name is Jesus. And that was yeah, that's yeah, how that went down. And I was like, I guess I'm just gonna call these guys He-Man dudes from now on, and not Masters of the Universe. And like, and it
Yeah.
didn't, you know, as a kid, it didn't dawn on me that that's, you know,
Yeah.
that's questionable content. Uh
Yeah. I mean,
so yeah, but this guy just hates
oh yeah.
Masters of the Universe. Yeah.
Well, I watched a little bit of the videos he did. Him and was it Gary Greenwald. Now Gary Greenwald looks like a John Holmes in the 80s. And he is it. I got that from someone's article. I believe it was some comic book website article, but
I
it's
think
true.
I think I've seen that same link that you're talking about.
Yeah, I
It has
can't unsee it.
like a comp of those guys
Yeah,
talking about
he
a bunch of stuff.
yeah, he talks about how like he saw the ram's head skull and the staff of the lich, the evil lich. It says, well, that's indoctrinating kids to the occult. So I'm like, well,
He's the bad guy though.
he's the bad guy, first of all. Second of all, he goes after Tila. Tila has a snake staff, and she has very tight fitting clothing, and she's very shapely. He points out that she's very shapely. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. This was a female figure to get girls into the toys, and you know, just like Barbie is a shapely figure, they you know want them to play with the girl toys. So I mean, that's neither here nor there. It was just funny to listen to these guys rail on about Tila. I forgot she even had a snake staff because I'm not really.
I might be wrong here, but the snake staff thing that has been that I'm pretty sure is from the Bible, actually, because in Dungeons and Dragons there's a spell called Sticks to Snakes where where a druid or a cleric turns a bunch of sticks into snakes, and I am almost certain that that is actually directly from the Bible, and that was some like Israelite thing. I'll have to look into that a little bit more. If you're listening to this and you're a Bible scholar, feel free to correct me. Hop on that Discord and correct me.
So
and surprise sucker, you'll be on our Discord, and that's good.
Yes.
So
yeah, the whole thing about Transformers was that kind of interesting. I don't go to this page, like he says, some of the toys within the Transformers category, which include Voltron, Robotech, GoBots, and Transformers. For one thing, he's wrong. Okay, so that's all wrong right there, but can be considered amoral, neither good nor bad, like the rest of the world. Others are so blatantly violent that they disturb many parents. Although the toys themselves are hard to categorize, we must look at the corresponding cartoons. Basically, this guy, he got so mad. He got mad at Smurfs. He got mad at Care Bears. I mean, yeah, of course he got mad at Dungeons and Dragons. Like whatever, he bought Dungeons and Dragons cartoon or figures, and he got mad about them. Not surprising. You know, we saw the Jake tracks.
He said that he had some Dungeons and Dragons pieces and threw them in a furnace, and he heard the souls wailing as they got burned up.
Yeah, that's what just happens when plastic starts melting, man. Starts getting off fumes and
what did he throw in there? Like metal miniatures? Like
he probably threw in some old pewter miniatures, or he probably threw in some.
Well, those were lead back then. Those lead.
They were lead.
He was probably high on lead fumes from.
I mean, come on. That was right at the time we stopped having lead in gasoline. He's probably had enough lead going through his body already. So, man, he goes on. He goes on Black Star. I mean, dude, this guy is so bent about it. But I'm really disappointed. I'm gonna get this book though, because it is one of those times we grew up. I mean, my first experience playing Dungeons and Dragons was a certain guy we both know lived across the street. Who he was a little older than I am, and they were Southern Baptist. So he is my first introduction. I went back, and my mom's like, "What'd you do?" I said, "I went across the street and played a game called Dungeons and Dragons." She flipped out because that was how the devil got you. Apparently, my parents were never ever religious, but that's how bad the Satanic Panic got. So you know, we go through this stuff. I honestly, there's nothing religious about Transformers anyways. It is, I mean, it has some elements later on that you kind of see that are actually more paints the idea of like false idolatry stuff. But I mean, G.I. Joe, he brings up G.I. Joe. There's no religion in G.I. Joe, but they were so bent on making this stuff evil, unless you're playing with like Bible toys or whatever. So I don't know. It's just one of those things that just always interests me. So I'm definitely going to find this thing, because what I've read of the book already, it is it's dumb, and I want to read how much dumb it is.
Yeah, it's very dumb. You'll get a laugh out of it.
Oh yeah.
I think that's probably a good topic for subdivisions. We could maybe just cover the
Oh,
entire book.
dude, I would love to.
He wrote 2 sequels to that. Also, he wrote 2 other books.
I saw that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
something about the Saturday morning cartoons, like something.
he did Halloween and Satanism, and he did what is it? Saturday Morning Mind Control.
That's what it is.
In the early 90s. He wrote that in the early 90s, and I feel like he's a little bit out of the zeitgeist at that point, because I don't feel like that Saturday morning cartoons were really much of a thing by the by the 90s.
They weren't.
Like they were kind of that was like late high school for me. And I mean, I would every now and then, if I woke up early on a Saturday and didn't have anything to do, I'd see what was on. But there really wasn't. It was kind of almost kind of a waste. It was kind of past the the golden age of Saturday morning cartoons, which was kind of the the late 60s to the late 80s.
I mean, at that point it was more American Gladiators and wrestling.
There was a lot of American a lot of American Gladiators. There was a lot of fake fighting on in the mornings where I lived. Where I lived, there would be like a block of like the local wrestling for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. And then after that, there would be an hour of like WWF wrestling, so you could watch all the. But it was like that, like it was back then. It was just like the big stars beating up some like ham and eggers, But then after that, it would be Kung Fu theater. So you would get, it was like 4 straight hours of just fake fighting. And like, I loved that. So
that, and I always end up catching there was always a Braves game during baseball season, because, TBS loves the Atlanta Braves. That's their station. So I'd always end up watching, ham and eggers fighting against Hacksaw Jim Duggan or something. And then the Braves games. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, man. Good times.
But, that actually kind of like brings me into like the little bit into this episode though today. We are talking about Desertion of the Dinobots, part 1, and the guy who wrote this, Earl Kress. Did you look him up at all?
Okay, well, I was gonna say that. So this is a guy that I mentioned. He wrote 1 episode before this that we've talked about, and I just kind of glossed over this guy, and I was like, oh, he wrote this, and he wrote a couple of he wrote a bunch of Looney Tunes, and I totally wrote this guy off. But this time when I looked him up, I decided to delve a little bit deeper, and in Googling him last time, I saw that he had a website, and I'm like, I'm not going to somebody's personal website, and I never do this, because in 2023, if I see that somebody has a personal website, I assume one of 2 things: that it's either there's a 404 and it's just gone, and it's like, buy this domain now, it's either that, or it's some like abandoned like relic from like pre-web 3.0 is what we get here. We get like, there's like a guest book, sign the guest book, or you get a visitor counter,
GeoCities or
GeoCities or Angel Fire, or one of these.
Yes.
What I got here was, I decided to go to it this time. I'm like, let's see what this guy's page is all about. And what I got here was basically the ladder. However, it had been constructed and updated in 2011. And this guy's rocking like cutting edge web design from 1999, but in 2011. But and this is inconsequential to like everybody out there, but it stuck in my brain. I had to sit there and play with this on his website for probably 10 minutes, 15. This is why I was late recording today, because I was playing with the scrolling on this thing. Because okay, so dude's webpage has, if you just look at it, the background is like a static blue, it's almost like blue marble, right? And then at the top banner with his logo and everything is white marble, and it kind of bleeds into the blue, right? But when you scroll, the blue just stays static, like it's just there. And then all the there's like a box in the middle of text, and it scrolls, and then the top banner goes away, it scrolls up or whatever, right? But there was a really weird thing, and I don't know why I'm not really sure why they did this, but it really threw me off, and I had to sit there and scroll up, scroll down, scroll up, because there's a very tiny strip at the bottom where the white banner meets the blue. there is a very tiny strip of blue that is attached to the white banner, that when you scroll up, just that part scrolls up. And when you do it, it almost kind of matches up with the blue marble on the blue marble kind of matches up. It's really bizarre. You just have to go to the guy's site and just scroll up and down a few times. And it was just like this total, it was almost like looking at a magic eye, because of the way the pattern was, and it like trying to get the marbling to line up just right. This was really weird, but that was the big takeaway from the site was that, but also that he apparently was kind of the guy behind Pinky and the Brain and Animaniacs, and he won like Emmys for those shows, and those were shows that were off my radar. I never watched those shows. I don't know how. I never watched those, but anyway, Earl died in 2011, and his site is full of really good people saying a lot of really nice stuff about him, and I thought that was very cool. And I'm just gonna kind of leave him at that. So
yeah, actually, I did a little quote from a Variety article they had put on that WordPress page. It was said, Kress died on September 19th, shortly after turning 60 of complications due to liver cancer. His animation credits include Transformers, Animaniacs, Pinky the Brain, Tom and Jerry Tales, The Smurfs, Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids, DuckTales. Kress joined the Animation Guild's executive board in 1995, and in 2004, he's elected VP of the Guild. He held that until his death. So yeah, he was very, very loved. He was like one of those guys who, you know, you always like seeing like people who are like really admired by people in their craft. But he was definitely admired. People really loved him. So it was kind of cool to see. And like all the kind words from people, it was really cool to see that. So, you don't ever know what you get into when you look at web pages nowadays. Like you said, like it was just like plain old WordPress page, nothing exciting about it, but it was kind of endearing to see all that. So yeah, that's Earl Kress.
Earl Kress. Yeah. R.I.P. Earl Kress. Thanks for everything they did.
Seriously. But dude, this episode starts out, they are flying a double cockpit like experimental jet, which looks cool. It looks really freaking cool. And it's one of those like things that doesn't really work. It's not really a real jet, but you always had like models of it, and you always had like things in video games or toys of a double cockpit jet. And he's using an NES Advantage to fly this thing around.
That's the 80s TV grandpa too.
It is 100%
total 80s TV grandpa flying that thing around. The double cockpit plane. There actually was in World War II. There was a double Mustang that had two fuselages and two cockpits like that and two pilots. What's that? It's real bizarre. It's a real experimental thing. It was basically like two bodies together with and there's like a connecting things, and then a wing on each side.
Was like one guy a gunner and one guy was a pilot or something?
I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about it. I know that they use it in the South Pacific.
Okay.
That the jet in this that reminds me a lot of if you ever played BattleTech back in the 80s. There was an expansion for that called Aerotech. The plane on the cover of that was very much like a space fighter that looked like this with two cockpits.
Interesting. Okay. Huh. Okay. Yeah. Actually there's a Decepticon. He is he a headmaster or he's a target master? I think he's a headmaster. I'm trying to think of this. No, he's a target master, which is a later generation, which had little weapons that transformed that were little guys. I'm trying to think of his name right now. It's bugging me. He's a double cockpit plane. Anyways,
so the target masters had weapons that transformed.
Yes, their weapons. If I had one, I don't have one near right now. But yeah, target masters basically they binary bonded to these smaller guys from whatever Nebulous or whatever kind of fiction you go into it, and they would transform. They'd be like real powerful guns. And headmasters, same thing with little heads.
With the head, I remember that. Yeah, I remember the headmasters. Yeah. I remember the target masters coming out. I didn't really get what they were about there,
but I mean, honestly, it's kind of a cool jet, and they're having a little victory lap. Optimus Prime and this TV grandpa flying his jet. But dude, what is up inside the back of Ironhide?
Dude,
what the heck?
So Ironhide is tailgating. He's hanging out on a hill tailgating this thing, right? He's got the hatch on the back up. He's in van mode. He's got the hatch up. Like there should be like a little Weber Smokey Joe in there. There's some hamburgers on there.
A cooler full of beer.
Why
is Soundwave in the back?
Soundwave is hanging out back there in robot form, dude. The
in
ultimate
tape form,
master
in
of
tape
stealth.
deck.
Yeah, in what did I say?
You said robot form, but like
Oh no, yeah. He's in tape deck. He's in
box.
tape deck form. This is the ultimate master of stealth. This guy can do it all. He can infiltrate the trunk of an Autobot. Dude, he can sneak inside of an Autobot. He's the best transformer. This is it. This seals, like, stamp it, book it. This is it. He's done it all. He's done the like, that was just a dare, I bet. Hey, Soundwave, I bet you can't sneak into the trunk of an Autobot. Like, like, oh, I bet you I can. And and he won, like, I don't know, man, what, some Energon beverages.
Yeah, the best part is he opens his Dave deck and like Ravage goes out and starts, causing stuff. But dude, he transforms and no, he doesn't transform yet. Ravage transforms. Blaster is in the back also.
Blaster's there too. How did he not know?
He's right behind him. I think he knew. He's like, come on, dude, come on, do something. He transforms, grabs Ravage
by the tail. Yep.
And yeah, man, and then he does this thing with the Ravage, and then Soundwave transforms. Blaster pulls him in there, has a tussle in the back of Ironhide.
Well, Ironhide's just like hanging out. Like, for a second, I was like, maybe that's not even Ironhide. Maybe that's just a van, just another.
But
another van.
Because of this tussle going on, no one notices Starscream flying over the experimental jet, dropping a little thing on top, and like the NES advantage controlled jet blows up. They're like, what happened? No one saw the F-15 fly over top of it, apparently. So there's that.
Yeah.
Hey, this is the, I don't know, it is the most timid Megatron at this point too. He's usually about, let's just go blow up everything, let's shoot everyone. He's like, no, we're going to do this secretly, and have this whole thing go on, and then basically causing big diversion with the experimental jet, which, okay, man, whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, and Starscream gets real mad because he thinks that sneaking around doesn't accomplish anything.
Yeah.
So like,
I'm
like, apparently it does. Apparently Soundwave is real good at it. If you let Soundwave do more stuff, he can sneak into anything. So oh my god, so the Decepticons are waiting for the Autobots to be distracted, so they can go break into this like facility and steal the blueprints of the experimental plane that they just blew up.
Yeah,
they want the plans for the plane that they just blew up. Why do they want the plans?
Later in the episode, they wanted to destroy the plane. So I don't know. Maybe they were scared of the technology.
They destroyed the plane in the first place. Like,
exactly.
They blew it up. Like, well, we don't need that plane. Let's blow it up and let's just build another one. Yeah. Like, how many resources do they have? These dudes are rich in resources.
Yeah, and Megatron has this whole like freak out moment, and once again we have the applause. He's freaking out, and then just says applause in the subtitles, which is fantastic.
There's a funny one later on too.
I may know what you're talking about, but
yeah.
So so they go in, like, they hit the research, I guess, station or whatever where the plans are. Soundwave pulls out this hentai device out of his his arm to like detect that there are 6 feet of tungsten steel on the safe. And they were like, okay, well, we can get through it. And then the Autobots show up, and man, Optimus is hanging out with the best crew right now. He's between Jazz, Blaster, and Mirage.
Yeah, man.
He uses this sound light show to screw with Starscream, and Mirage rolls a nat 20 and pickpockets and steals Megatron's
cannon off his arm. How cool was that? And then they just kind of wrestle over it and he takes it back.
Yeah.
Hey, are you familiar with the band Black Flag?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to get into the history of that band or how much I love that band, or how about the one time that the ex-singer like knocked a friend of mine on his butt. But what I am going to say is that back in the day, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about Greg Ginn's guitar playing. And if you've never listened to Black Flag, Greg Ginn has a very, very distinctive style of tone. He played through a lot of really cheap solid state amps, and but he also had a really unique playing style, especially when it came to solos. And so I was talking to my friend, and we kind of came to this conclusion that it was, if you listen to that, it sounds like all of his solos are just all the wrong notes, and that he's just playing like random garbage. But when we try to do that, you can't do it.
Yeah.
because he knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it works when he does it. If you try to do that, if you just like, I'm just going to play a solo and just play random notes, it doesn't sound anything like that because you can't.
Yeah, actually, I can always pick out his guitar playing because it sounds atonal, but it actually flows. It's weird,
exactly,
man. But I can always pick it out like that sounds like Black Flag, and I'm usually right whenever I hear that.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, Jazz came in here and started blasting some random guitar solo that would not be out of place in Loose Nut era Black Flag, because that tinny guitar solo that he has is like, I'm like, that just sounds like kind of like Greg Ginn.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder if it's just like poorly recorded, if it's just a guy just a guy in the studio just like, hey man, just play a solo, and the guy's just phoning it in, you know, he's just he's like, I gotta go be a session guitarist for Crocus later on, and do whatever, and like I'm going on tour with, you know, like David Lee Roth, and I need to do this. So like, I'm just, you know, just phoning, he's just like phoning it in. But and so it was probably recorded in like a vocal booth, which is not set up to record music. And then it's, you know, what we're watching on YouTube is like a 15th generation, you know, copy of this show, and I'm watching on these tinny computer speakers, and this is why it sounds. And that's how Greg Ginn got his guitar tone. Is like I'm just gonna play the worst gear that I can possibly find.
Yeah, it sounds like whoever recorded this had one of those My First Years guitar amps and an electric guitar plugged into it. It sounds so like it's blowing out, and then gets recorded on a like a sound booth. Yeah, 100%. But man, Autobots are on top of it too, man. How does a hologram outside of Megatron flying? He's like, "Hey guys, we're leaving." And Starscream's like, "Yeah, well, you know what's new? We're retreating. Okay, let's go." Soundwave and Starscream take off. Megatron's like inside a room still fighting.
Dude, I couldn't figure it out. I was like, "What did he do?" And then and I was like, "Oh, he made a hologram of Megatron retreating, and it made everyone else retreat." I was like, well, "I am lost. What is going on here?"
This is like the best Autobot crew the whole season so far. They were like, they had their parts, they knew what to do, they were all over, man.
Yeah, and you got a good mix of old school and new school guys here, because you know you had Blaster, and I don't know if we've seen much of Blaster.
Yeah, I haven't really seen much of it at all yet, but he's going to be pretty prevalent on the next like run of episodes, so you're going to see a lot of him.
That was one of the few Transformers. Like I remember getting him and going to my friend's house once, and him his dad thinking that had a really cool new radio. He thought it was like an actual radio.
Like Ghetto Blaster. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. But so there's just a great crew here, man. It's much better than the nerd crew because they show up, of course, later. But I was gonna say those geeks are gonna show up. Yeah, God, ruin everything. Yeah, as they do. Yeah. Yep. So we end up going to the Funorama park where Spike, Carly, and Bumblebee are all riding teacups, and Bumblebee's like, I don't get it. So she goes and like she opens his chest up, and it says beep beep boop boop beep, and he starts having fun. It was like a Data moment where he like his emotion chips gets turned on. He's like, dude,
he turned his fun circuits on, and he had a good time after that.
It made him sick. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she explained that she turned off his equilibrium.
Yeah, like, you know,
I'm like that's not really like, I don't know, man. That's not really what I have an equilibrium, but
yeah, turn off your inner ear, man. See how that's going to be on a teacup ride.
I think I would enjoy something less.
You think so?
I would just be dizzy the whole time. You know,
that's sick.
It'd be like having like Meniere's or something, and you know, yeah, that'd be awful. So yeah, they leave and they go pick Sparkplug up from the airport, and he's wearing a suit. He flew in wearing.
He looks dapper, man. Vest and everything.
He had a vest. He had a vest, and yeah, he was good. He looked good, man. I guess he was off. I don't know, what was he doing. He was probably like doing archaeology somewhere in Egypt, and you know, because he has to have something like that in his back. He does it all.
He's teaching. Yeah, he's teaching at some university in Europe. He's like, I'm going to teach my class on the ruby mines of Burma. He's
the boss of those things. He is the union head now, probably. He's like,
he might be
Alpha.
Which one? Because that's part of so many unions, I'm sure. But so like Spike sees Thundercracker and Thrust taxiing into a hangar, and they're just like rolling along the ground. They're not like landing. They're just like taxiing right in, and they end up in a big building that says hangar on the outside. So you obviously know it's a hangar.
Dude, that was real nice of them to label that hangar, man. That's huge letters in there too. But what do you notice here, though? We kind of pan inside of this thing. We get some Decepticons hanging out. Purple computers. You know, they're rooted.
Yep. Purple steel, man. That's all there's to it. You know, if it's purple steel, it's going to be Decepticons.
Yep.
And dude, so Bumblebee gets on the intercom, and hey, Optimus Prime, we have an alert here at the airport. There's Decepticons. They have a base inside this hangar, and Optimus Prime and the other guys, the cool crew, they're hanging out like, we're busy, man.
We're too far away, is what he says. This has never been an issue on this show. They have driven across the country, like, in one scene cut, they have driven from Oregon to like New York City to take care of an issue that's happening right then. They surfed.
They went to the geographic center of Africa.
Dude, this is ridiculous. They're too far away.
They can't go to like Nevada or something. They're in freaking they're in Washington State or Oregon. I'm thinking actually it's supposed to be Oregon. So they can't go to this. Okay. Cool, man, whatever. I'll call them.
It's not even of the essence here, because it's not like they're doing something. They're just hanging out. They're like, hey, Decepticons are hiding in this hangar. Like, you should come check it out. Probably should. Yeah. But not like, hey, Megatron's blowing up buildings. Oh, we'll be right there. Like, like what? Oh, so
yeah, he calls the base. Wheeljack is there. And like he's like, I guess I can get the Dinobots out.
Like,
and he opens the closet.
Like, we're short staffed here. Nobody wants to work anymore. So
sorry guys. We don't be mad at our staff. No one wants to work. No one wants to have a job. And they
real world factors crept into this episode.
So yeah, he opens the closet door that the Dinobots just live in.
Standing right there. They're just standing right at the door.
Oh, hey, you needed something?
These poor guys, man. God.
I'm siding with him at this point. So Wheeljack and Optimus Prime are like, yeah, we need to go help out the airport and help out Bumblebee. And he's like, no to orders. Like Wheeljack's like, why? Grim's like, oh, sorry, look at my screen here. So he's like, Grimlock goes, I don't know why. So okay, well,
he says at first, he says, I don't like taking orders, and Slag goes, I don't like anything.
they really are the dreadnoughts of the Autobots.
Slag just took like the quote of the century with, oh, I don't like anything. Like I bet you don't.
Not wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, they all go and they eventually end up at the airport, and they're all hiding behind the tail section of a plane. Like you can't see them behind. They're like up above it, and you see the legs down below it. Who are they hiding from?
Oh God.
Yeah, I know. No, exactly.
Yeah.
So they go back to the hangar where the Decepticons are doing Decepticon stuff in their secret base. I don't even know what they do in there. They're just, saying stuff and doing evil villain things. And the Dinobots tear through the doors
like paper. It was like a football team smashing through the banner at a high school football game.
So they go through there and just tear everything up. Like Blitzwing shows up like on the side and tries to shoot Bumblebee, and Sludge just like hits him and knocks him over.
He just kicked him. I was like, this finally Blitzwing. This is awesome. He's gonna do something cool.
Nothing.
It goes to a tank. It just gets kicked over. Like, doesn't even shoot anything.
Snarls inside. He whips his tail and nails Rumble, making him drop these barrels. It's almost like a Looney Tunes cartoon. He drops barrels and all the other stuff goes like whoa, whoa, whoa. And then he comes over after him again. He's going to use his pile drivers, and then Snarl kicks him again, knocks him into Megatron, who knocks him into the villain screen. It's just like the comedy variant. It's just like a Marx Brothers skit here. It's terrible.
It was like some Looney Tunes stuff, man. I mean, that makes sense when they're all Kress. He was a Looney Tunes guy. So at this point, I think Spike goes sizzling Cybertron, and which is the second time in this episode that someone has said sizzling Cybertron. I think I think Bumblebee said it first, but
probably
sizzling Cybertron.
Probably where Spike picked it up.
Yeah. Well, of course he did. But I don't know what happens now.
Why do they transform? They like take a victory lap.
Yeah, they transformed, and then Megatron's like, oh, that's when they're vulnerable. Like, go and attack them. Like, I think they're pretty tough when they're robots too, though. Like,
yeah, they are, but then
they're pretty tough dudes all around. But and they get blown up by a big chain reaction that blows up like 16 different 747s too. That was pretty cool.
And dude, okay, they just get purity pounded, and the best part is the nerd squad arrives.
Oh, here come the safety
Yeah,
bots.
your boy
Nerds.
Hoist, Inferno, Grapple shows up. This guy, I pull him off the shelf. And then Red Alert, and Red Alert instantly starts like, oh no, he's so melodramatic.
Inferno's the only one that's cool out of these guys.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%, yeah. But so Hoist goes and gets a 747 with a top like blown off of it and starts stacking the Dinobots in the plane.
It's a stretcher. It's like
it was like a tow truck thing going. He like starts hauling the 747 back to base, which apparently is not that far away because he can haul the 747 across the desert into their base.
You just push it, it's fine.
Yeah, I guess, man. I don't time and distance are kind of analogous here, so there we go.
No, we're too far away.
Can't do it.
But now everybody's acting like jerks though. Everybody's complaining about like the tools are bad and everything was better on Cybertron. We got a little mini flashback.
Yeah.
To Cybertron.
Okay, so I don't understand this because apparently they can fix everyone every other episode, but this time, like, well, we can't, man. I have a metric set. It's SAE. I don't know how to do this. I need standard. It's metric. We got to go back to Cybertron to get the right tools. They can't go down to the O'Reilly's to pick up a new set or anything because it's Cybertron tools. They have different stuff.
Yeah, they were real mad about it too. They're everything Cybertron and that weird little flashback. That was weird. With which I don't remember which guy it was. It was one of the I guess like the Formula One cars like transforms into like a Cybertron. There's just like a clip of him on Cybertron transforming into like a Cybertron little. It looks like they all look like they turned into old school Cylon Raiders from the old Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, that's actually pretty close. You see that. So the Autobots are trying to rebuild this hangar, but they're really inept.
This was awful.
This is the worst. They load Power Glide up with bricks, and he's like, I don't know, it was Ironhide. He starts like shooting out mortar and dropping. Power Glide drops bricks just perfectly in a row, and then like they put a roof on top, and then the whole thing collapses because I guess they forgot to add mortar to the rest of the bricks. And
because that geek Hoist picked the roof up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was Grapple. Grapple.
Okay, Grapple picks the Grapple picks the roof up.
Yeah.
And goes to put in Optimus Prime's like, hey man, make sure that you do this. And he's like, oh, I don't have to listen to you. I know what I'm doing. And then just drops it and collapses the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like maybe Optimus Prime knows a little bit about building.
Yeah.
Everything that nerd has built has just fallen apart or blown up or something bad's happened. So I don't think he's as good at building as he thinks he is.
Yeah, he's real upset about that too. But there is
called Constructicons because those dudes know from building.
Yeah, but
speaking of, they show up. Well, not quite yet, but
then we have the MacGuffin time. The whole thing starts. Mentioning Cybertron, and all of a sudden they start having problems. The Decepticons start having weird glitches and.
So this was the fun subtitle bit of the show here, where the Autobots are like running after the Decepticons, and Megatron like he just totally like strokes out here. He's like he's going to say it's the Autobots, but I guess his voice locks up. And he goes, it's the but the subtitles say it's the old one. It's the old one, and then it says it's the applause.
Why does it always say applause for Megatron? Dude, oh my god!
The YouTube subtitles are quickly becoming my favorite part of the show.
I have to watch them
out there. If you guys are watching these on YouTube, man, just turn the subtitles on. It's a hoot, and I love it. Yeah, and everyone is broken at this point. Nobody can transform correctly.
Oh, okay. I got to stop for a second here. So okay, first back up real quick. The Autobots finished fixing the Dinobots, and the Dinobots are like, "Yeah, cool, man, we're out. We're done with you guys. Bye." And so yeah, we're getting to the Decepticons are over there getting like energon cubes, refilling energon cubes, and they're like basically, oh, we got some bad energon, maybe let's just drink some new energon. It's like they got bad gas, and as we know, bad gas travels fast in a small town. So so that's when they show up, start fighting, and dude, Jazz can't transform, so Ironhide kicks him.
And it transforms. Thanks, I think.
He kicks him, he transforms. So man, Megatron, yeah, as I said, he starts going, oh, he started, old one shows up. Oh no, the Starscream announces that he's the new leader, and I'm like,
of course, because
everyone take a drink.
Yeah, because Megatron stutters one time. Oh, vote of no confidence.
Now I'm the new leader, and then
the old man doesn't
flies and goes on a big hoop and comes back down, hits all the energon cubes. And
that was cool.
Ironhide is trying to shoot liquid cooled nitrogen. Like, try some liquid cooled nitrogen, and he does the whole click click. And the way he said, I had to type this out the way it phonetically sounded. Uh-oh, my hand won't retract.
And he just freezes himself. He encases himself in ice, and that was very cool.
Oh god,
nobody can do anything right. Everyone just breaks everything.
Oh, Mirage, that kills me. He's like, well, fortunately, I can still turn invisible, and he rolls a nat 1 on his hidden shadows and gets he gets shot.
He sneaks up and how did he see me? I'm like, I don't think you were quite visible. This is like some mystery men business here.
Oh, it's fantastic. So yeah, Ravage runs over and knocks over Optimus Prime on the ground. They start having a tussle, and then he jumps up and transforms to a tape, and Optimus Prime's like, thanks, drops on trash can.
It's like what? He throws him into a barrel, and he's like, all right, see you later. Like,
yeah.
Like,
so,
yeah.
Then they're like the whole commercial break, Megatron transformed into his gun mode. Starscream's holding him like, I never miss at this range. And they come back from the commercial break. He freaks out and flips over and he's like, oh, let's go retreat. And they're all falling over each other. They're trying to jump, like they're trying to do Superman things. They start falling over.
Everybody's like breakdancing almost. Like, this is hilarious. This was good. Like Megatron had a real cool thing going on here. Oh god, yeah, this was a pretty hilarious battle here. Everyone's broken, and but we get the Constructicons show up at this point.
Yeah,
and I'm like, awesome. We better get Devastator. I really hope we get Devastator here. And we got most of Devastator.
I back up again there real quick. So another one of the nerd squad, Perceptor, he realizes they need more Cybertonium. And we just happen to find out that Shockwave is shipping some to the Decepticons on Earth. And like Perceptor's like, fortunately, I'm stuck in microscope mode, so I can analyze everything. Oh, thank goodness. All the nerd bots in his nerd mode. So yeah, Carly, Spike, and Sparkplug, they're like, we gotta go get the Dinobots, because Carly, it's like, hey, Dinobots were built here, so they shouldn't have any. Like, oh yeah. So they got to go fill Grimlock's. It's kind of his I guess his pride. He's gonna like, oh, you're the amazing Grimlock. You can do all this. Yeah, and yeah, you're basically telling that big dumb guy that he's the smartest person there. And so yeah, that's when they show up, and like the Dinobots go start attacking the Constructicons. They almost make Devastator.
So close.
And the Scavenger's like lagging behind, and so they just knock the hell out of Scavenger.
Yeah, they knock him over. And they hop on the space bridge and they go to Cybertron.
Yeah.
And they pop out. Yeah, there's Shockwave there, and he's he's not happy with this.
It does not go good for him at all. They beat Shockwave like a ragdoll. I mean, they do. There's no way around.
Yeah, they really did. Shockwave called Megatron at this point, and the subtitles called him. It said Shockwave to make a trunk.
I did see that one actually.
Make a trunk. Yeah, it was cool.
Make a trunk.
Make a trunk. Yeah. So there's a frame here though where I paused it to take notes, and I just noticed that there is a frame where Shockwave, because he has one hand he has is like a gun, right?
Yeah.
And the other hand though, he was holding like a toy of himself. Yeah. He was holding like a miniature Shockwave, like in gun mode.
Yeah. That's when Carly, Spike and Carly get on the space bridge. Also, apparently they have air on the space bridge. I don't know. And they go up there, and like that's when he says, my sensors detect more stowaways on the space bridge, and that's when the doors open. He just uses like his toy self and his gun arm starts shooting in there. And this
What an
time
ad.
we will be
What a-
ready.
What a toy! What an ad for
Man,
Shockwave! Like, how
yeah,
cool is that, dude? Please
plays
tell
with
me that
himself.
some third party person has made a tiny Shockwave for Shockwave to hold.
There actually is a tiny Shockwave.
Yes.
It comes. I think it comes with like a third party version of like not Hasbro making it third
Hmm.
party version of Bruticus, which will come up later as when you get into the episodes with Bruticus in it.
Who's
Which
Bruticus? Is Bruticus a combiner?
yeah, he's the Combaticons, which actually I like them a lot, so I can't wait for
Combaticons.
that. Yeah, he
Okay, the combat.
they
Okay, yeah, they were the ones that were like a it was like a tank and a helicopter
yeah
and
it was like a tank, like a helicopter. It was a half track with like double barrel cannon on the back. It was a
oh,
space
cool.
shuttle for some reason, and like a Vietnam
Combat
era Jeep.
station.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that sounds pretty cool.
Oh, it's actually really cool. They're actually some of the best characters too. I love them. So yeah, we'll get to that eventually, man. I almost forgot to say this at the beginning of the episode. So there's another person on the YouTube who has been messaging like watching the last episode. Is another channel called the Children of Primus, and they were very impressed with the fact that you got Expose and Transformers in an episode.
Oh yeah, right on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that goes
that's
like
awesome.
the
Oh.
very, very, very rare instance to chat about Expose and Transformers in the same conversation. Now that you
That's
mention
awesome.
Expose look like moms, it's true. Never thought about that back in the day, but each of the women has had a lead in different songs. Back to Transformers. Anyways, he was talking about it was a really cool conversation, but he's like him and his friends have on Sunday nights. It was just pretty cool. It was like another sounds like another maybe podcast, another YouTube channel like found our show and like big compliments. It was a lot of
Sons
fun.
of Primus,
Sons of Primus,
but they're not about the
not the
band.
band.
Not about the
Yeah,
band Primus, though.
no,
Okay,
not the band
not
Primus.
like Les Claypool fans.
No,
Or,
no, they're not a fan of Les Claypool the third. No.
I'm a fan of Les Claypool.
Well, yeah, Les Claypool's great.
Yeah.
Um,
That's awesome though. I'll have to check those guys out. And
yeah,
so yeah, like stay tuned for our all expose subdivision episode that
our our little side our God, subdivision on expose. I forgot the name of our sideshow all of a sudden. It's been that kind of day.
Don't forget that. Yeah.
No, I can't forget that. Especially you were like subdivisions.
Subdivisions.
So yeah, man, cool episode. I hadn't watched this in a while again. There's so many episodes I rewatched because I like them so much. This kind of started off okay, but man, it got so fun by the middle of it. It was a very typical episode, but at the same time not. So yeah, man. What do you tell me what you thought of it?
It was good. It was good. It was fine. I feel like I kind of cop out and say that a lot about episodes. But I mean, it's they're in a season this long, there's going to be like a lot of filler, and honestly, like people will come like like, oh man, like TV seasons are only 8 to 12 episodes these days, and it's like, but it's all good, and there's no like, you go back and try to watch something like Lost or something like that. Those shows that were on the cusp, of like serialized shows and that kind of thing, and or like the older style of episodic shows, like, because you can just watch like a random X-Files and it's good, you can it's good enough, there's ones that there's good ones and okay ones and there's bad ones, or but whatever. Same thing with something like Star Trek. It's like there's good Star Treks, there's bad Star Treks, and there's okay Star Treks, but the majority of the shows are going to be in the middle. They're going to be okay because there's so many, and whereas now if you watch I don't know, I started watching Battlestar Galactica again recently, like the new one, the new Battlestar Galactica, which I love.
I lost interest in that a lot, but maybe I'll give it another chance.
But I mean, there's very little filler in there. I mean, that was one that was kind of on the cusp though, where it was like, there was kind of some filler, but if you watch something like I watched Arrow, the first season of Arrow, and I liked where they were going with it, but it was just like, man, there's just like it's 26 episodes in this season, and I don't want that. I want like 10. But then you watch like Daredevil, which is essentially the same show but good.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's like, I mean, I'm not saying that Arrow is bad, but it's like it does the same thing. I mean, Daredevil, the Netflix Daredevil does the same thing as Arrow, but it does it in a more concise way, and I can watch it in, like 2 days really, instead of having to like, oh my god, I'm on episode 17 and I still got 10 more to go. I don't I don't want that, and that's why I won't go back and watch Lost ever again, because I'm not gonna, like, it's what, 7 seasons of Lost and times 26 episodes, and I'm not gonna watch that, like, I don't have time for that. But I'll watch 8 episodes of Winning Time or Righteous Gemstones. And those are, that's great, and it's concise, and I'm like, man, I want to see more. But I feel that's the thing. If you want more, I feel like that they've succeeded. But yeah, this was just like, I don't know. I like anytime that the Constructicons show up. When they formed Devastator, did nothing again like they usually do, and I don't know why I keep getting excited when they form Devastator. I got to see the Autobots, and that was cool. The safety bots showed up, but who cares? They were non-factors. They didn't bring anything down. It wasn't like they showed up and that was it. It's like remember that band, the Sugar Cubes?
Very, very vaguely.
Well, it was like Bjork's band before she
I
was.
remember that.
So,
I don't remember
but there was like, the Bjork parts were really cool in those songs, but there was that one guy that would come in and be like, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, and that guy was terrible, and he would ruin every Sugar Cube song. And that's how I feel about the safety bots. And so the less you can get from that dude in a Sugar Cube song, the better the Sugar Cube song was.
Yeah.
Which is when Bjork made a solo album, it was like, oh, well, now I don't have to deal with that guy anymore, and this is great. So this is what I wanted out of every Sugar Cubes album. So I feel like you got minimal safety bots, so I didn't my Sugar Cube song wasn't ruined like it could have been. So so I mean, Adult Brain's gonna it's I'm gonna go like, I don't know, like 2 Greg Ginn solos out of 5, maybe Jealous Again, maybe Gimme Gimme Gimme, early era Keith Morris era solos. Kid Brain though, liked it because there was a lot of things happening in it, and it was like some you get the weirdo like Keystone Cops stuff of people falling down, and people being silly, and like things malfunctioning, and that really weird bit where like Jazz was half transformed, where he was sitting down and like the back was transformed, and you're like, that's something that I would have done with the toys when I was a kid. I would have like transformed half of them and been like, he's broken, like he's stuck like this, he can't transform until someone fixes him. So Kid Brain would probably go like 3 preacher granddads that say that Jesus is the real master of the universe out of 5.
I can hear that so much too. God, growing up in the South, guys, growing up in the South. So yeah, man, I like I said, it's one of those episodes I haven't watched a lot because I usually jump to the episodes I really like and watch them over and over again. And I leave a lot of the filler, and this is a filler. Yeah, it's like, but then again, it also gets the Dinobots just being jerks, man. They are so entitled.
Everybody's so mean.
They're so mean. I love watching. Okay, when we saw the Microbots, when the Decepticons got drunk on Energon, and then they look like a drunk uncle falling over at a barbecue, like Optimus Prime totally did in the middle of the arc, the base. He's like trying to stop, Spike and Carly's. No, it's too dangerous. And bam on the ground. Like, okay, Uncle Jim, you got to stop having any more Bud Light. We're cutting you off. So that's what it was. A fun episode. It was. It's nothing really pressing about it, but I just love how just gonzo it gets. It's so silly. It's got a lot of fun. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, I it's not great though. Let's leave it there. It's not great. So I'll easily give it a. Let's see. I'll give it a 2.5 missing Constructicon arms out of 5. A lot of fun, man. Honestly, and this is gonna be a part of the season 2 where there's just some bad stuff and there's some okay stuff.
It wasn't City of Steel. That was the problem.
My God,
it wasn't the best and also the worst episode of all time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's going to get bad. It's going to get real bad, but not there yet. This is just, it's okay. No, there's a lot of silliness with it, a lot of wrong, but at the end of the day, it's not terrible. It's entertaining. And that's all you want. So, anyways, yeah, I'll leave it there. Honestly, we're going to get into part 2 next week, which I remember is a little more like a concise episode. It flows a little better than this. This is all over the place. So yeah, thanks for the Sons of Primus for messages on YouTube. Everyone check the show notes for the Discord link. I actually, weirdly enough, my mom has a someone in her Mardi Gras crew who's named Tyler, who she asked for links for a show because he's into the stuff too. I'm like, right on. I sent her links, so we'll see if Tyler shows up and listens. Hope he does. Hope.
For real. Yeah, come on, Tyler. Let's get let's get
Tyler
the Mardi Gras Transformers crossover that we all want going on here.
Tyler, let's do this, man. So anyways, y'all, sorry, sounds kind of jerky. Y'all take it easy. Thanks for checking us out, and we will see you next week.
I have a quote this week.
You're back.
I did my homework. The trouble with bending the rules is they usually snap right back in your face.
I don't know.
It's Captain Fan. Oh no, that's not even. No, never mind. I'm looking at this something. How about this one? How about never give up, never surrender, never mind.
Okay, man, you lost me there.
Blitzwing. That's Blitzwing.
Is that Triple Takeover?
Playing chicken with a mysterious racer. And I don't know. It's just a list. Okay. It's a list of quotes, man. I'm just typing in search engines.
Good enough. All right, everyone. Thanks so much.
Play Warhammer and roll out.
Here you go. Y'all take it easy. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Morethanmeetstheseguys is performed by Evan Johns and Ed Strickland. Research is performed by Evan Johns, Ed Strickland, and with special research done by Boo of the AxelonUnderground.net. All used images in the videos are property of Sunbow, Hasbro, Paramount, or Marvel. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in every week with us. We appreciate it.
Everybody, action! We're Cold Slither, you'll be joining us soon. A band of vipers playing our tune. With an iron fist and a reptile's hiss, we shall rule.
What is that idiot doing?
We've heard it before. We're not gonna play the game no more. Don't tell us what's right.
They are animals.
To resist, cause Cobra is strong.
Oh my goodness, we're going way over budget.
We're Cold
Barbarian